You have been married for a long time, 30 years perhaps, 40, maybe 50, or perhaps that person is no longer here. And you carry them now only in memory, in the way you still reach for the same side of the bed, in the way certain songs still stop your breath. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes, in the stillness between one day and the next, a question rises. Why that person? Out of every soul that walked this earth during your lifetime, why that particular face, that particular voice, that particular set of habits that both delighted and maddened you for decades? Western culture has its answer: chemistry, timing, fate. When you know, you know. Romance movies taught us there is one right person and the universe conspires to bring you together, usually in a coffee shop, usually in the rain. But most of you have lived long enough to know that love is not a movie. You've seen the story complicate itself, perhaps beautifully, perhaps painfully, perhaps both at once. And so I want to offer you today not a replacement for your story, but a deeper layer beneath it. Buddhism says there is no such thing as an accident in the heart. Every person who has touched your life deeply, and no one touches you more deeply than the one you chose to build a life with. Every such person arrives with a reason older than memory. That reason has a name. It is called karma. And today, together, we are going to understand it. When most of you were young, in your 20s, perhaps younger, the culture handed you a story. Find the right one, fall in love, build a life, live happily ever after. It was a beautiful story, and it was not entirely wrong, but it was, as we say in the Dharma, incomplete. It was incomplete because it treated love as a destination. You arrive, you unpack, you stay. But those of you who have been married for 20, 30, 40 years, you know that love is not a destination. It is a practice. It is something you choose again and again. Often in unglamorous circumstances, often when the other person is difficult, often when you yourself are difficult. The Western story also gave you the concept of the soulmate, this one special person designed just for you by the universe. And if you found them, congratulations. If you didn't, something went wrong. This is a deeply anxious way to live. Buddhism offers something different. Not colder, actually far more generous. Buddhism says the person you are with, that person, that specific human being, is not an accident. They are not a mistake. They are not just a good enough version of some ideal you never found. They are exactly who your karma brought you to. And understanding that, truly understanding it, can transform how you see your entire life. So let us begin there, with karma. Because most of what people think they know about it is not quite right. The Pali word is kamma. You know it by the Sanskrit, karma. It has entered English, but in English it has picked up a flavor it did not have in the original teaching. In popular use, karma means punishment. That's karma, we say, when someone who behaved badly receives bad news. A kind of cosmic justice, an eye for an eye, dressed in Eastern clothing. The Buddha taught something far more subtle. Kamma, in the original teaching, simply means intentional action. Every deliberate act of body, speech, and mind plants a seed. That seed, under the right conditions, will produce a fruit. Not as punishment, not as reward, simply as nature, as momentum. A river does not flow uphill because it is being punished. It flows where the terrain directs it. Kamma is the terrain of your inner life, shaped by every choice, every intention, every act of love or anger you have ever made, across more lifetimes than we can count. Now, when we bring this to the question of relationship, to the question of why you married that person, it becomes very specific. In Buddhist teaching, we can speak of 3 kinds of relational karma. I want you to hold these gently, not as rigid categories, but as lenses. The first is what we might call debt karma. This is when two souls come together because something unfinished must be completed between them. Perhaps in a previous life, or in the depths of a previous version of yourself, there was harm done. Words spoken that wounded, betrayal, neglect. The debt is not about punishment. It is about the natural pull of incompleteness. Two loose threads that must find each other to be woven into wholeness. In a marriage shaped by debt karma, there will be difficulty. There will be moments that ask almost more of you than you feel able to give. Patience, forgiveness, the willingness to stay when leaving would be easier. These are not signs that you chose wrong. They are signs that the karma is doing its work. The second is gift karma. This is when two souls come together because one or both carries something the other needs. A particular quality of kindness, a way of seeing the world, a stability, a creativity, a tenderness that would not have been called forth in anyone else. In a marriage shaped by gift karma, there is a quality of recognition. Even in the early days, a sense that this person sees something in you that you have not quite seen in yourself. The marriage becomes a space where your best nature is drawn out, reflected, confirmed. The third is unfinished karma. This is perhaps the most common. Neither fully a debt to be settled, nor purely a gift to be given, but a complex weaving of both, still in process. The lesson is not yet clear. The gift is still being unwrapped. You are, as they say, a work in progress, together. Most long marriages contain all three. And this is exactly what the Buddha pointed toward. In the Sigalovada Sutta, one of the most practical discourses the Buddha ever gave, he spoke directly about the duties between spouses. Mutual respect, faithfulness, generosity, courtesy in small things. It is not romantic poetry, it is a map. A map of how two human beings, shaped by their own karma, can consciously choose, day after day, to reduce suffering between them and increase joy. I want to offer you one phrase to carry with you today. It is not a direct quote from the text, but it captures their spirit. The Buddha did not say, find the right person. He said, be the right person. The question is not whether your karma brought you the right partner. The question is, what are you doing with the karma you have? I want to speak now about something that may feel uncomfortably true. The person who has lived closest to you, who has seen you before coffee, who knows your fears, who has witnessed your worst moments and your finest, that person has been your mirror. Not always a flattering mirror, sometimes a very honest one. Let us go back to the beginning. When you were young and you first loved that person, you were not, if we are honest, choosing with pure wisdom. You were choosing with thirst. The Pali word is tanha, craving, a deep, urgent wanting. And much of what we crave in another person is shaped by what we have not yet healed in ourselves. The quality that attracted you most, perhaps it was their confidence and you felt uncertain about yourself. Perhaps it was their warmth because your own childhood was a little cold. Perhaps it was their stability because you had known too much chaos. Perhaps it was their passion because your own heart had been carefully put away. We do not fall in love at random. We fall in love in the direction of our own unfinished growing. This is not a flaw in the system. It is the wisdom of karma at work, because that quality you reached for, you needed to develop it. And the person who carries it, lives it, embodies it, becomes your teacher, whether or not either of you knows it. Now the middle years, the friction. After the early sweetness, and this is true in almost every long marriage, comes friction. The very quality that drew you becomes the quality that irritates you. His confidence becomes stubbornness. Her warmth becomes intrusion. His stability becomes rigidity. Her passion becomes chaos. You have experienced this. In the Dharma we say, the places of greatest friction in a long relationship are the places where karma is surfacing to be seen. The irritation is not proof that something has gone wrong. The irritation is a messenger. It says, here is something in you that has not yet been healed. Here is something you have not yet accepted in yourself, in others, in life. The person who irritates you most is often, not always, but often, the person holding up a mirror to the part of yourself you have most resisted looking at. Two stones in a river. The longer they tumble together, the smoother their edges become. Not because the river punishes them, because contact, sustained, honest contact, gradually wears away what is rough. And now, after decades, something has happened in your marriage. Either it has deepened into something quieter, richer, less dramatic than the early years, but more solid, more true. A love that requires no performance. Or it has hardened into parallel loneliness, into a carefully managed distance, into the exhaustion of two people who once tried and are no longer sure how to begin again. Or it has ended in divorce or in death. For those of you whose partner has passed, your grief, however long ago it began, is not a sign that the karma is finished. Grief is love that has no place to go. And love, in the Buddhist understanding, does not end when the body does. The relationship continues in you, in how you carry them, in what they taught you, in who you became because of them. The karma between you continues to ripen. Every time you act from what they gave you, every time their influence moves through your hands in an act of kindness, the thread between you is still alive. For those of you still in a difficult marriage, karma is not a prison sentence. This is perhaps the most important thing I will say today. The teaching of karma is not fatalism. It does not say you are stuck because of your past. It says exactly the opposite. Every conscious action you take right now is planting new seeds. The karma of this moment is always more powerful than the karma of the past, because this moment is the only place you can act. I am aware that some of you, perhaps many of you, are not certain what you believe about past lives. That is completely fine. You do not have to believe in rebirth for this teaching to be useful to you. The Buddha himself was pragmatic in a way that still surprises people. He did not say, accept these teachings because they are ancient or because I say so. He said, ehi passiko, come and see. Test it. Does it reduce your suffering? Does it help you act with more compassion, more clarity, more peace? If yes, use it. If not, leave it. But let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone, for the first time technically, and felt an inexplicable sense of recognition, as though you already knew them? Not déjà vu exactly, something deeper, a sense of, oh, it's you. Most people, if they are honest, have had this experience with their spouse, with a close friend, with a child. Buddhism offers one explanation, that soul has been close to you before, that the karma between you spans more than one lifetime. You do not have to believe this literally. You can hold it as a metaphor, as a way of honoring how deep and how old some connections feel, even in the context of a single life. What matters is not whether you accept the cosmology. What matters is the lived truth the teaching points toward. This relationship carries weight. More weight than can be explained by circumstance. More depth than most people allow themselves to acknowledge. When you sit with someone who has known you for 40 years, the weight in that silence is real. The history between you is real. The ways you have changed each other, sometimes gently, sometimes through fire. That is real. Whether you call it past life karma or the cumulative depth of a long human bond, the teaching is the same. Do not take it lightly. Do not throw it away unexamined. Understanding is only the first step in the Dharma. The second step is, what do I do with it? Let me offer you three practices, simple ones, for people who have already lived much of their life and are not interested in beginning everything from scratch. The first is, look back with new eyes. Take some quiet time this week, if you are willing, and ask yourself these questions. Not with your analyzing mind, with your heart. What did this person teach me that no one else could have? Not what they tried to teach you, not what they thought they were doing. What did life, through them, actually deposit in you? Perhaps it was resilience. Perhaps it was how to be still. Perhaps it was the importance of speaking your truth, because living with someone who did not taught you how essential it is. Perhaps it was the tenderness you developed when they were ill. Perhaps it was the independence you found when they were gone. And then, if the marriage was painful, if it was difficult, if there were years you would rather not revisit, ask the harder question. What did I have to develop? Patience, boundaries, self-respect, forgiveness, because of this relationship. Those qualities are not consolation prizes. They are the harvest of difficult karma faithfully lived. The second practice is conscious completion. If your partner is still alive, you do not need a dramatic conversation. You do not need to revisit old wounds. What you need is one small intentional act of metta, loving kindness, each day. Metta is not a feeling you manufacture. It is a direction you choose. It is the quiet decision to wish this person well, even when they frustrate you, even when you are tired, even when old patterns rise up between you like weather. One kind word, one moment of genuine attention, one afternoon where you choose curiosity over judgment. These small acts dissolve old karma far more efficiently than arguments ever could. And forgiveness. I want to speak about forgiveness carefully because it is misunderstood. Forgiveness in the Buddhist sense is not approval. It is not saying what happened was acceptable. Forgiveness is releasing the grip that old pain has on your peace. It is understanding that carrying resentment harms you, primarily you, and that you are allowed to put it down. You do not forgive for their sake first. You forgive for the sake of your own remaining years. If your partner has passed, the karma is not finished simply because they are gone. You can still offer merit. You can still speak their name with love. You can still ask in the quiet of your own heart, is there anything unfinished between us that I am still carrying? Can I, here, put it down? The love between long partnered souls does not require a living body to continue its work. The third practice is, perhaps the most important, remember that you are not finished. There are people who watch videos like this one with the feeling of someone reading a history. My life happened. I am looking back now. I want to gently push back on that. At 60, at 70, at 80, you are not standing at the end of the story. You are standing at a particular place in a very long continuum. The karma you make today, the seeds you plant right now, are as real, as potent, as consequential as anything you planted at 30. Every act of generosity you offer now will bear fruit, in this life and beyond. Every grudge you release will lighten not just your remaining years, but the quality of what comes next, in whatever form that takes. The best karma you can make for your relationships, for the people who come after you, for the next turn of whatever wheel you believe in, is to love well right now. Not perfectly, not without confusion or grief or the occasional sharp word, just consciously, intentionally, with the wisdom of someone who has lived long enough to know that time is not unlimited and love is not to be wasted. Before we close, I would like to offer you a moment of stillness. You do not need to close your eyes if that is uncomfortable. Simply soften your gaze. Let your hands rest. Take one slow breath in and release. Now, gently bring to mind the face of the person you have loved most deeply in this life. Not an idea of them, their actual face, the specific quality of their eyes, the way they looked at you in a moment that mattered. Hold that image with tenderness. And now, silently, ask this question. Not with your analytical mind, just offer it, like placing a flower on still water. What did we come to give each other? Do not search for the answer. Let it come, or let it remain in silence. The answer is already in you. It may arrive now, it may arrive tomorrow, or in a dream, or while you are washing dishes. The question, once asked with an open heart, does its own work. Now, bring your awareness to the quality of warmth in your own chest. If there is grief there, that is okay. Grief and love are not opposites. Grief is simply love, still present, looking for its person. If there is tenderness, let it be there. If there is something unresolved, something unsaid, something you wish had been different, simply acknowledge it. You do not have to solve it in this moment. Acknowledgement itself is a form of release. Now, offer these words, silently, to yourself and to them, wherever they are. May you be at peace. May I be at peace. May the karma between us ripen into freedom. Take one more slow breath and gently return. We began today with a question. Why that person? I want to answer it now, simply. Because your soul needed exactly that mirror, that friction, that gift. Because there were things in you that could only be called forth by that particular presence. Qualities that would have remained dormant, or dormant longer, without the specific gravity of that specific person in your life. Because karma, the accumulated momentum of your own choices across more time than you can remember, brought you together. Not to punish you, not as a cosmic test you could fail, but because incompleteness seeks its completion, and love, in all its forms, is the universe attempting to know itself more fully. You have lived a great deal. You have loved. You have been disappointed. You have stayed when staying was hard. Perhaps you have lost someone irreplaceable. Perhaps you are still navigating a relationship that asks more of you than seems fair. All of this, every chapter, however complicated, is not a series of accidents. It is a curriculum. And you, at this point in your life, have enough perspective to begin to see what it was teaching. So I leave you today with this. You have lived enough. You have loved enough. Now understand it. Let the understanding soften what is still hard. Let it open what has remained closed. Let it give you permission not to rewrite the past, but to meet whatever remains of your life with greater clarity, greater compassion, and a little less fear. If this teaching touched something in you today, something real, something you have carried quietly for a long time, I invite you to share it with a friend, with someone you have loved for a long time, with someone who is asking their own version of this question. And if you would like to continue this conversation, please join us here on Lotus Dharma Path, We offer these teachings freely, with the wish that they reach every heart that needs them. Leave a comment below if you feel moved to, even just a few words. What is one thing your longest relationship taught you? I read them, I sit with them. Your answers are part of this teaching. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.